Hello, hello, hello. I see there are people here and having a good chat already. Nice to see you, chaps. Nice to see Halakar and Major's Musings and Grumpy Old Slan and Jean, and that's everybody who's been talking. Thanks, Jean. Thanks for the thanks for the membership. Always appreciate it. Looking forward to the game tomorrow. Hope so. Hope so. It's what you've all been talking about. Happy Friday, everyone. Michigan passed a new cell phone law that basically makes it illegal for me to even listen to the show on your drive home now. So you don't have a mount to put it into the dash. Well, when I have my car, my phone in my car, I put my phone in the door pocket, so it's not in my lap or anything, but it's still connected by Bluetooth to my radio, and perfectly legal because I'm not touching the phone. Yeah, Bluetooth the phone to the car and listen in. Hello, Thief Keith. I've got one of those little Bluetooth things. My car's 2003, and I just got a little Bluetooth adapter that I put in the cigarette lighter, and connect my phone to it. It's not a perfect signal, but it works. It works. So, and it cost me about 10 quid for the adapter, and it works well enough. So, you still have a cassette? Well, if you've got a radio and you've got one of them little cigarette adapter Bluetooth things that goes in your cigarette lighter, then it connects to the radio. Mine is through the FM signal, 87.5, I think it connects on FM. And then I just take my phone out of my pocket before I even start the engine, press to Bluetooth, start whatever I start, pop the phone in the side pocket. Yes, very low power radio emitter. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it is. And they work. Hello, Daniel. You've had a bad day. Had a bad day. Well, effectively at work this week, my Friday is the equivalent of your Wednesday. So I've still got 2 days of work to go. I'm working tomorrow and Sunday, but at least my job's safe now. So that's one thing. We've had a date through for the boss's funeral, which is going to be beginning of August. He's going to go through all the legal stuff. But at least there's going to be a bit of closure. So that is that. Played a very good game of Call of Cthulhu last night. It was nice that we managed to get the group back together properly, the full group, because we've had a few weeks where not everyone's been available. Gingerbeard has got himself a different work schedule so that he isn't falling asleep in the game anymore. He's had a department move. So he's now active in the game again, and it's a nice little group. There's 4 of them. There's General Nut, there's Art, there's Eldarian, and there's Gingerbeard, and they're getting well stuck in. Yeah, the shop is staying open. One of the suppliers that we've dealt with for a long time has come in behind the scenes, and at the moment, we're not able to take card payments in the shop, which is a bit of a pain because half the customers are having to go away. Some of them are having a bit of a grump, but we can't take card payments because our card machine was connected to his account and it's had to be frozen. So We're waiting for a new card machines that we can have in to be set up to the new guy's account. I was inquiring today about our previous machine, but it only works with a certain bank's account, and he hasn't got an account with that bank, so can't do it. It's an absolute pain in the backside. You're welcome to pop in and annoy everyone on a Thursday, Mage. You're more than welcome. I actually have in the sleeping compartment on the Orient Express. There were 10 compartments, and I've left one of them intentionally empty, and it currently contains Mr. and Mrs. Irrelevant, as I've called them, which are potential extra characters. If a character dies or somebody else joins in, it'll be one of the characters occupying compartment 1 on the sleeping carriage. So I've done that on purpose. So you wouldn't be disrupting anything. Any more Call of Cthulhu reviews? I will be reviewing the scenario that I'm currently running when I've finished it. I have already run it twice before, but I don't want to give anything away to the group who are currently playing through it, because it's got a few twists and turns. And having run it 3 times, I think I'll have a fairly good grasp of its good and bad points. And it has both. It has good points and it has bad points, like most scenarios. There are a number of other Call of Cthulhu scenarios I could review. I could do a proper one of... I could finish off my Reign of Terror one, because I never did do the second one, did I? I did the first scenario. And I could just do a summary of adventures, of sort of starter adventures. But we shall see. We shall see. My Call of Cthulhu reviews don't get many hits. They take about 2 months to get 100 hits, whereas do a D&D one, it takes 2 hours. Oh well. Somebody has just come thumping into the door. What, is that my wife back? I don't know. Very loud up the stairs. We had it's a bit of a coming of age today in our house. My son is at his prom tonight. You know how you see your kids growing up, and every day I see him lounging around in his school shirt, because we have to wear school uniforms in this country. He comes home from school, his shirt's hanging out. At the weekend, he's in his t-shirt and shorts, slobbing around the house. I am looking forward to seeing the pictures of him and his mates with their hair properly done, with their shirts tucked in, with smart dress shirts and smart suits, because I think they'll look fantastic. I think they'll absolutely knock them dead. It's one of those sort of proud dad moments when you see your lad properly grown up and looking smart, I think. And unfortunately, I didn't get to see him when he went out to the prom, because he left before I got home from work. So it might be him coming back now, but we shall see. I'm waiting to see the pictures anyway, because it'll probably be a bit of a mess now. Yes. Anyway, anything else to announce? Don't think so. We've got 8 people in chat. I have my character sheet ready, because I'm almost organized. And I have my book ready, and I have a pencil here. We hear it clanking around then. And dice. Oh yes, dice. I do need dice. Bear with me. Dice. There we go. Dice are ready. Yeah, I mean, I have got the other 2. Oh, it's not his university exams. He's only 16. He's just finished his what you would call high school exams. So he's 16. University. I don't know if he'll be going to university. He's staying on to do school until 18. He's going to study PE, business, and history. I think he's likely to want to end up being like a PE teacher or something like that. That's the sort of thing he's into. He's very sporty. But whatever he goes on to do, he should do all right. I mean, history is the subject he's best at, but PE is the one he's keenest at. I think business is just something new. Don't know how we'll get on business. I tried. I did economics at the same level, and I was appalling at that. Awful. I didn't like that. I was a gamble. I hated it. But anyway. Yeah. I mean, I've got the other two Call of Cthulhu solo ones. I've got Alone Against the Frost and Alone Against the Dark, and they are both considerably more complicated than the first two. So I'd have to work out how they would work on a stream. The first two I ran. Well, we haven't finished Alone Against the Fog. Is it the one, that one? Can't remember the name of it. Alone Against the Tide. We didn't complete that. We did complete Alone Against the Flames, but Alone Against the Tide we didn't complete. So we could run that again and try and complete it. Or I could try running Alone Against the Dark or Alone Against the Frost, but I'd have to work out the logistics of it. It's not the easiest thing with those two. There's against multiple characters, the adventures are much bigger, but we shall see. We have a Dracula book to finish anyway. We do indeed have a Dracula book. So, picking out some dice. I'm going to use red ones and I'm going to use blue ones. There we go. Red ones and blue ones. I think Alone Against the Flames would, with a bit of beefing up, could be used as the basis of quite a good group adventure. It would need an addition of something a little more Cthulhu-esque, I think, because there's no mythos stuff in it. It would need something to jazz that up. A few more enemies so the party can't just fight their way out. But yeah, I think it's a good idea. It's a good starter adventure in that sense, because it's not overly complicated. Right. Shall we begin? I'm just looking at my various statistics. I can see. Oh no, we're playing as Mina, aren't we? Mina, right? I need to copy out Mina's stats because I didn't do that last time. I just quickly hurriedly started reading the Mina section without putting any of the her stats down. So just let me find Mina's stats. Bear with me while I rustle a bit. Right. Okay, she has agility 8, which is quite low. Combat 8, which is quite low. Endurance 20, which is very average. ESP 8, which is higher than the others. No terror yet. Oh, she's lost 2 endurance and gained 1 terror already. Okay, right. There we go. Oh, I think that's... Thank you, Crafting Gamer. Because I think that should be code on the channel. Dispel invisibility, revealing lurkers. Cheers, Crafting Gamer. Good man. Whenever anyone does give out memberships, always let me know in the chat, because I can't see them through StreamYard. And Mage, what now you are heading towards your monetization. You'll see that if you try and stream through StreamYard, it doesn't give you it, and you get these little annoying lag. But anyway, okay. Right, so we have just started as Mina. I believe. Okay, I'm just going to start reading because I can't remember where we finished last time. I'm pretty sure we started as Mina, but I think we might have missed Elena's off because we didn't play things in the expected order. So starting on 338, you find Dr. Seward in his study, where he and Professor Van Helsing are discussing the list of Mr. Renfield's extraordinary psychoses and character defects. They stop the moment you enter the room. Can we be certain that it was merely a nightmare? The professor ponders, once you have described the nature of your disturbing dream. Perhaps it is not enough that we simply leave you behind when we embark on our dark endeavors. Perhaps we should do more to help you protect yourself should the need arise. Dr. Seward agrees, and so the professor suggests 3 different ways in which he and Lucy's suitors might help you. Our brave Lord Godalming is skilled with the sword, while Mr. Morris, our bold American friend, is a master of the revolver. Both could no doubt teach you how to protect yourself with each. For my part, I've always tried to keep an open mind concerning all things, and I've schooled myself in the methods of meditation and hypnosis. I've even made some study of more esoteric practices, such as psychography, telepathy, and extrasensory perception. It may be that I can pass on some of what I've learned to you. Unfortunately, for any such training to be worthwhile, there's only time to focus on one form today. So, who do you want to help Mina look after herself? Lord Godalming, who's good with a sword, Quincy Morris, who's good with a revolver, or Professor Van Helsing, who's good with the mind? And you have a choice straight away, chat. Mage, you've got a slow computer, so having 2 windows open, I'm wondering if you'd start getting the grinding to a halt type thing that I get occasionally when you see me popping out, disappearing. Also, I'd forget to mute things. Right. Daniel went straight for gun, whereas 4 of you went straight for Van Helsing with his mind stuff. 5 Van Helsings. Sorry, Daniel. So Van Helsing it is. 364. Who's playing in Gingerbeard's game on OSE tomorrow? I will be. I'll be at work. My boss might be turning up in the afternoon. My new boss might be turning up in the afternoon, so I might have to disappear for a little bit. Crafty little mute. I'm not really playing, but we shall see. We shall see. I'm hoping the boss does his visit in the morning. If his visit is over and done with by midday, then there's no problem. I can put my feet up without worry of being checked up on. Not that he'll check. He's not the sort to check up on people. I've had when I've been in work, I've had 1 phone call a day from him, just checking things are okay. That's it, which is absolutely fine. So you might be dog sitting. That's fine. No, the dogs can play. Woof for west, woof woof for north. The professor generously gives of both his time and his knowledge, sharing with you what he has learned over years of study and practical experimentation. But how receptive a student are you? Roll 1d6. All right. Are we going to have the blue dice or are we going to have the red dice? Have a quick vote. We're going to use blue or we're going to use the red? Blue or red? Blue or red? Up to you, chaps. Slan's been outvoted here. Slan went for blue, and then there's a whole rush of red. Oh, it's been leveled. 3-3 now. Three. Anybody else want to vote? We're 3 red, 3 blue. There's 8 people in chat. So there's 2 lurkers. Who've not voted. Oh, there we go. Halakar has broken the tie, and we're going with the red. So I'm going to roll this red one with sparkly things in. See that? It's got little sparkly things inside. Roll 1 dice and then divide the number rolled by 2, rounding fractions up. Add this many points to your ESP score. Good D6. That's a 6 straight away. Right, so our ESP score goes up to 11. Whoa. Right, 449. Dr. Seward also prepares a laudanum-based concoction to help you sleep better. Record the sleeping draft on your adventure sheet. Okay, we have a sleeping draft. Jonathan returns from London later that evening, and after dinner, while the men meet again in Dr. Seward's study to discuss developments, you retire to bed, for you feel oh so terribly tired. So, shall we take the sleeping draft tonight, or shall we try and fall asleep naturally? Sleeping draft or natural sleep? You have the choice. Already lots of choices playing as Mina. Didn't have this many choices playing as Seward. Right. Okay. Natural. Everyone wants her to go au naturel. Hello, Elfbait. Au naturel. Okay. Despite everything that is besetting your weary mind, you are so drowsy you fall asleep quickly. As with the previous night, you dream you're in your bedroom in the asylum, which is filled with the same white mist as before, and you feel the same vague terror that came to you before, and the sensation that something else is there in the room with you. Standing beside the bed as if he has just stepped out of the mist, or rather, as if the mist has somehow become him, is a tall, thin man dressed all in black. You know him at once from your husband's description of him. The waxen face, the high aquiline nose, the parted ruddy lips with the sharp white teeth between and the crimson eyes. Add 1 point to your terror score. If you have the code word sedative kicked off, we don't. So we turn to 534. Ooh, bit of artwork. Your heart seems to stand still. You try to scream, but find yourself somehow paralyzed. Take an ESP test. Our ESP is now 11. Marvelous. Oh, I'm just going to show you the dice. Oh, can you see them? You see what I rolled? I rolled 11. Yeah. So if we hadn't have had that help from Van Helsing and got the best possible result from it, we'd be in a lot of trouble here, I think. If you pass the test, turn to 554. This one goes up to 11. It does indeed. Spinal Tap. Big Bottom. Talk about bum cakes. My girls got them. Yeah, great film. Really, really good film. In that instant, you realize that this is not a dream at all, but the horrible waking truth. This creature of the night is actually in the room with you, standing beside your bed. Silence, the man hisses in a keen, cutting whisper. You try to scream out, but no sound comes from your paralyzed vocal cords. He places one cold hand upon your shoulder and, holding you tight, bares your throat with the other, saying as he does so, I require a little refreshment to reward my exertions. Take a terror test. Yes, we'd be in trouble with that, Van Helsing. 15, and our terror is 7. So, our terror is 2 as Mina. So we're fine. We're absolutely fine. 574. By sheer strength of will, you manage to break free of the Count's hypnotic spell. But his grip is like iron, and so, as adrenaline rushes through your body, adding fuel to the fire of your fear, you struggle to free yourself from his clutches. Take a combat test. Okay. 6. Our combat is 8. That's good. 594. The ferocity of your need to free yourself takes your captor by surprise, and, incredibly, you actually manage to slip his grasp. But your newfound freedom only lasts a moment. Enough, snaps the Count, lashing out at you with long, sharp fingernails. He strikes you across the face and sends you flying across the room. Lose 3 endurance points. Crossing the room without seeming to take a single step, the Count lifts you from where you lie with one strong hand. All right. Turn to 613. Ego crush. Id insinuation, perhaps? Never played proper psionics in AD&D. Never. You're unable to resist as the Count places his reeking mouth upon your throat, piercing the pulsing vein in your neck with his snake-like fangs, and he starts to drink. You feel your strength ebbing from your body. There is now no doubt in your mind that this is not some hideous nightmare, much as you might wish it were, but the undead fiend is actually here in your bedchamber, gorging himself upon your very life's essence. When he finally takes his foul, sneering mouth away, it is gory with fresh blood. Your blood. Roll 1d6. Add 6. And deduct that many endurance points. Ouch. We are still alive. Then he speaks to you mockingly. And so you, like the others, would play your brains against mine, and would help these men to hunt me and frustrate me in my designs. You know now, and they will know before long, what it is to cross my path. They should have kept their energies for use closer to home. whilst they played wits against me who commanded nations and fought for them hundreds of years before they were born. I was undermining their efforts. And you, their best beloved one, are now to me flesh of my flesh, blood of my blood, kin of my kin, and shall be my companion and my helper. You are to be punished for what you have done in aiding those who would thwart me. Now you shall come to my call. When I command it, you shall cross land or sea to do my bidding. With that, he pulls open his shirt, and with his long sharp nails, opens the skin of his chest. As viscous black blood begins to ooze forth, he takes both of your hands in one of his, holding them tight, and with the other forces your mouth to the wound, so that you must either suffocate or swallow some of the foul, dead fluid. Oh, what have you done to deserve such a fate? May God take pity upon you, a wretched soul in worse than mortal peril. The door suddenly bursts open, and the brave vampire hunters rush into the room. The scene that greets them would appall a priest. You are highlighted by the moonlight streaming in through the window, and they cannot help but see that your face and the front of your nightdress are filthy with blood. And then they lay eyes on the Count. As your attacker throws you onto the bed, the brave professor leaps forward, a sacred wafer in his hand held out towards the monster. The Count stops abruptly and cowers back. As the rest of the menfolk raise their silver crucifixes, Dracula cowers further back still. The moonlight suddenly fails as a great black cloud sails across the sky. Pardon me. When the gaslight springs up under Quincy's match, a moment later you see nothing but a faint vapor that trails out through the window and then is gone. Your husband rushes forward and gathers you up in his arms, his face a ghastly white. Your husband, oh, I've already read that one. Are we too late? The professor cries, moving towards you, the sacred wafer still tight in his hand. I have to know. And with that, he presses it against your forehead. You give voice to a fearful scream and recoil in pain. Lose 3 more endurance points. Wow, we're down to 4 endurance points already. The others stare at you in horror, for where the wafer touched your skin, it has burned your flesh as surely as if it had been a piece of white-hot metal. You sink to your knees, sobbing and pulling your hair over your face, wailing, Unclean! I am unclean! Even the Almighty shuns my polluted flesh. I must bear this mark of shame upon my forehead until the judgment day. Jonathan falls to the floor beside you, consumed with impotent grief, and for a few minutes your sorrowful hearts beat together, while your friends turn away, their eyes running with silent tears. Gain 6 blood points. Okay. And turn to 693. And that was the successful roll. What would have happened if we'd have failed? It may be that you have to bear the mark till God himself sees fit to redress all the wrongs of the earth and of his children, Van Helsing says gravely. And oh, Madame Mina, my dear, may we who love you be there. May we who love you be there, and when that red scar passes away and leaves your forehead as pure as the heart we know. Till then, we must bear our cross, as his son did in obedience to his will. It may be that we are chosen instruments of his good pleasure, and that we ascend to his bidding through tears and blood, through doubts and fears, and all that makes a difference between God and man. Okay, we have a choice. Do we continue the story now as Jonathan Harker? Do we continue it as Mina Harker? Or do we continue as John Seward? So, Mr. Harker, Mrs. Harker, or Dr. Seward? Those are our choices. That was quite dramatic, wasn't it? Let's have a look at how the characters are. Jonathan Harker is in good physical condition, but his terror score is ridiculously high. Seward is in good physical condition. He's only got 1 Penny's Mightier left. He's good. He's actually in the best all-round condition, but he was quite boring to read because his passages were too long. And Mina is an absolute state already. So, Seward, Mr. Harker or Mrs. Harker? Those are your choices. Blood points make the count more powerful. We have a total of 10 so far. Between 9, 10 between our three characters. Five of you are saying Seward. So you're saying you don't mind those long passages that I have to work my way through? Okay. Don't feel sorry for me then? Don't feel sorry for Geek? No. Right. Seward wins. 54. It's only 2 paragraphs. There's no choice at the end of it. Yeah. You're a bunch of trolls, aren't you, Mage? Yeah, I'm gonna flag this up for everyone to see. Yeah. Yes. And you call yourself a friend? There is no time to lose, and your situation has become even more desperate. As the longer you take to find the remaining boxes of Earth, the greater the risk that Mrs. Harker will end up like your own dear Lucy, and you could not bear to see that happen to another man's beloved. However, your party may actually be one step ahead of the Count in this regard, for Harker helped Dracula acquire not just Carfax House, but 3 other properties, all located in London, one in Piccadilly, one in Walworth, and one in Mile End. Right, okay, so you're not Merlin Stigandledore tonight. You are, yes, we know what you are. I think the house in Piccadilly is key, Professor Van Helsing says when the 6 of you meet again later that morning. In the study that has become the vampire hunter's makeshift committee room, he must have many belongings hidden somewhere, and why not somewhere so central, so quiet, and from where he can come and go by the front or back at all hours? I think we should search there. But what of the properties in Walworth and Mile End? Asks Arthur. We cannot risk leaving any earths for that old fox to run to. Professor, if you would go to the house in Piccadilly, I volunteered to search the Walworth address. Then I will visit Mile End, says Quincy. Then it is decided, says the professor. We will split up, and between us we will ensure that the fiend has nowhere left to hide on English shores. Good, minions. Van Helsing says to you, I would appreciate your help at the house in Piccadilly, he says. Will you accompany me there? Okay, you have a choice. Do we go with Van Helsing? Do we go with Lord Godalming? Or do we go with Quincy Morris? That's your choice. I'm well prepared with something to drink tonight. Right, you want to go to Mile End with Quincy Morris? 2 of you do. You don't want to go with Van Helsing to Piccadilly? Or Walworth with Lord Godalming? Go with American. Let's go with the Texan. Let's go with the Texan. I got to do a Texan accent, I guess. Deep South. They talk sort of nasally. Is anybody in chat a Southerner? Where's Omen Al when you need a Texan in chat? I remember the TV show Quincy. Jack Klugman, was it? I believe. Okay, you all want to go with the Texan. So we're going to Mile End. Right, he's the one with the gun. Palmetto's, no! Have we done the wrong one then? We've done the wrong one. And so it is agreed. You will join Quincy Morris in visiting the property in Mile End, while the rest of the vampire hunters will head to Walworth, apart from Van Helsing, who will go to the Piccadilly property and meet the rest of you there as soon as you can join him. The address is that of a former printer's, the offices being located on the first floor above the warehouse that occupies the ground floor, the perfect place to store a number of boxes of earth. Indeed, upon entering the warehouse, your companion, having forced the lock with the swift application of a crowbar in the shadows created by dirt-smeared windows and half-closed shutters, you find 6 boxes identical to those you purified in the chapel of Kofax's house. But it looks like someone has done your work for you. Something has chewed its way through the planks from which the boxes have been constructed, and appears to have eaten what was hidden inside. For among the clods of mouldering clay strewn about the floor sit a number of rats, gnawing on the human remains that were hidden within the crates. You cannot believe that the vermin were as large as they are now when they began feasting on the corrupted Transylvanian corpses, and determined that it must have been their diet of strigoi flesh that has changed them so terribly. Each one is big enough to swallow an infant whole. Add 1 to your terror score. Okay. Right. If the blood score is greater or equal to 8, it is turn to 502. The blood score is. There are 8 of these monstrously mutated rats in total. Hearing your approach with their sharp ears and picking up your scent, even over the all-pervasive stench of maggot-eaten flesh, the monstrous rats scamper across the floor towards you. Okay, 8 rats. We've got 1 Penny's Mightier left, and it has given us the option to use it here. Do we use the Penny's Mightier, or do we save it? This is Seward's last Penny's Mightier. I believe Quincy has a gun, but I don't think Seward does. So we have 1 gun. Everyone else reckons we are okay. Everyone seems to be saying save it. Just 8 big rats, 8 giant rats. Okay, they're big uns. They're big uns. Okay. If not, turn to 588. Right. The rodents' unnatural appetites can only be sated now by human flesh. Okay. Right. We have to fight them. And we have to fight them 2 at a time, which means they get to roll twice for their attack skill. They're not particularly strong, but they get more goes on us. So you. Okay, first round, we've injured a rat and we haven't been hurt. Second round. Again, we're doing it well. We're all right. It might just be a bit of a long combat. That's all. I'm just going to roll twice as often as usual. 7. Oh, okay. We've tied with the rat that we're trying to hurt. And the other one, the other one's bitten us. Right, okay. That's not good. 5-7, that's okay. 5-8 is a tie. So yes, we've killed one rat. So we fight the second one by itself. 4-7 is a tie. Okay, yeah, they're easy when third and fourth together now. I thought you said there were 8 giant rats. It appears Quincy's not doing anything fighting related here. It's also fighting. 7-9. We've got an advantage of 3, so we're okay. That's good. 9-3. That's okay. We're fine there. 7-9 again. Okay, that's good. 5-3. Okay, yeah, we're doing all right. We've only been bitten once. It's just taking a bit longer than usual. Yep, we're okay at the moment. Okay, we've only got a two skill advantage over this last rat. 8-4. Good. 4-5. That's okay. 5-7. A tie. 9-9. Done it. Done it. Done it. Dice kept rolling very, very average, which is good when you've got an advantage on skill. So we've beaten up those rats. The sharp crack of a pistol shot echoes through the warehouse, and then nothing but silence remains. The rats are dead. Oh, it is assuming that he's helping in the fight. Okay. Leaving the property, intending to come back again once this nightmare is over and clear up after yourselves properly, you head back to the main thoroughfare, hoping to meet with the others at Dracula's house in Piccadilly. If you were injured 2 or more times during the battle, no, we weren't. We were only injured once. Okay, so we go to 8-7-6. Oh, we're down to 6 people in chat. People have left. People have left. The long fight scared people off. Back on the main thoroughfare, you catch a cab and set off for 138 Piccadilly. As it turns out, your destination is a silently sinister, abandoned building that looks even more grim compared to its more lively and spruce-looking neighbours. Taking the door knocker in hand, you bang it against the brass plate 3 times. You're admitted a few moments later by a harassed-looking Van Helsing. Hello, Iman. How you doing? The rest of your courageous band is already gathered in the shadowy hallway. Now that you've joined them, you all report back on the location and destruction of the remaining boxes of Transylvanian earth. 6 boxes at the Walworth property, you say? Lord Godalming confirms that is correct. And another 6 at Mile End, the professor goes on, looking at Quincy Morris, who nods in agreement. And 8 boxes of earth here? With a sinking feeling in the pit of your stomach, you already know what he's going to say next before he says it. Which means there is still one outstanding box. Which means there is still one outstanding from the original 50 Dracula had transported to England. One box that has somehow escaped detection. But where can it be? Take an ESP test, and we are playing the character with the worst ESP. We've got to roll 6 or lower. Oh, we've failed. We've failed. Oh, I haven't put any invite out this week, Iman. I haven't put an invite out this week. Chat's been a bit quiet. A little bit quiet. Well, not the people in chat haven't been quiet. It's just we haven't had that many join us. So we failed the test. 764. I might put the invite out in a little bit. The door to the dining room suddenly bursts open, and something as black and lithe as a panther leaps into the room. You happen to be standing closest to the door and are sent flying, and you land. Blah, 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 blah. You happen to be standing closest to the door and are sent flying. You land heavily on the floor, slamming your shoulder into the remains of a broken crate. Lose 2 endurance points. And turn to 648. There is something so inhuman about the figure's movement that it sobers you all up from the shock of his unexpected arrival. But before any of you can so much as raise a hand to stop him, he lashes out, sending Arthur and Quincy flying to opposite corners of the room before they can even draw their weapons, and sweeps the other vampire hunters aside with lightning fast attack that leave them all reeling, and you are the last man standing. The Count is suddenly there before you, and a snarl passes over his face, revealing pointed, elongated eye teeth. For all his veneer of noble breeding, you see him for what he really is then, a bestial monster that lives only to hunt and steal the lives of others. Take a terror test. Oh, passed by miles. He's only 8 terror. Bear with me a moment. Short interruption. Just seen photos from the prom tonight. From before the prom, when they all looked very, very smart. Very, very smart indeed. Our grown-up boy, eh? Right. Anyhow, we've passed the terror test. 686. Snarling like a caged beast, his face twisting into a demonic visage, Dracula attacks. Shall we use the pen is mightier now? Yes or no? Pen is mightier. We have one left as Dr. John Seward. Yes, 2 instant yeses. And there's a third yes. Use it. Do it. Yes. Okay. We have a majority for yes. Right. Okay. That's our last pen is mightier as Seward. 657. Yeah, good thing we didn't waste it on the rats. Yep, you're absolutely right there. Suddenly, Professor Van Helsing is at your side, crucifix in hand, as he chants, Agnus Dei qui tollis peccata mundi dona eis requiem. It is as if even just the sight of the crucifix and the sound of the holy Latinate words cause the vampire pain, and he recoils physically, hissing and spitting like a wildcat. Recovering themselves, your fellow vampire hunters rally and advance on the Count, crucifixes and wafers held out before them, while Van Helsing intones the words of the exorcism prayer in Latin. The Count's face twists into an expression of baffled hatred and hellish rage as he cowers before the sacred symbols, and his waxy skin acquires a vile, jaundiced hue. The next instant, with a sinuous dive, he flies across the room and throws himself at the unshuttered window. Amidst the crash and glitter of falling glass, he tumbles into the stone-flagged yard below. You join the others in running to the window and see your quarry spring unhurt from the ground. Crossing the yard, he pushes open the stable door, but there hesitates and turns. You think you can confound my plans? You shall be sorry, each one of you. You think you have left me without a place to rest? But I have more. My revenge is just begun. It is a plan I have devised over the centuries, and time is on my side. Your girls that you all love are mine already, and through them, you and others shall become my creatures yet, to do my bidding, and to be my jackals when I want to feed. And then he passes quickly through the door and is gone. It's all very dramatic. Oh, what does a cross at the top mean? And there's a cross at the top. Hold on. I did see this. Cross. Must mean something. No, I can't see. Ah, whenever you see a cross icon beneath a section number, okay. That's if you're playing as Harker, though? Right. No, it doesn't mean anything to us. We're playing as Seward. Although you all set off in pursuit, you find the stable door is bolted, and by the time you manage to force it open, the Count has fled, leaving no sign of his passing. It is late afternoon, and sunset is not far off. With heavy hearts, you have to accept that the game is up. Let us go back to Madame Mina, Van Helsing says. All we can do now is done, and we can there at least protect her. But we need not despair. There is but one more box of earth, and we must not rest until we find it. When that is done, all may yet be well. You can see that the purpose of his words is to comfort Harker as best he can. The poor fellow is quite broken now, and again giving a low groan that he cannot suppress as he thinks of his wife and her present condition. Harker has been quite overwhelmed by what has befallen his precious Mina. Yet yesterday he was a frank, happy-looking man with a strong, youthful face, full of energy and with dark brown hair. But today he has the appearance of a drawn, haggard old man, whose white hair matches well with the hollow, burning eyes and grief-written lines of his face. It is with sad hearts you return to Purfleet, where you find Mrs. Harker waiting for you, with an appearance of cheerfulness that does her bravery and unselfishness honour. But when she sees your faces, her own becomes as pale as death. You are woken early the next morning as the grey of the coming morning the windows into shop oblongs by Professor Van Helsing, who has been summoned to Mrs. Harker. 2 or 3 minutes later, Professor Van Helsing is in the room in his dressing gown while you watch with Arthur and Quincy from the doorway. Once again, we hear you flipping in a linear fashion through the book while playing as Seward. I blame you, Mage. All the Mage's fault. Oh, my dear Madam Mina, says the Professor, rubbing his hands together in delight. This is indeed a change. We have got our old Madam Mina back. And what can I do for you? I want you to hypnotize me, she tells him. Do it before the dawn, for I feel that then I can speak, and speak freely. Be quick, for the time is short. Without a word, he motions for Mina to sit up in bed, looking fixedly at her. He starts to make passes in front of her, from over the top of her head downward, with each hand in turn. She in turn gazes at him for a few minutes until gradually her eyes close, and she sits stock still. It is only by the gentle heaving of her bosom that you can tell she is alive. The Professor makes a few more passes and then stops, and you can see that his forehead is covered with great beads of perspiration. His subject opens her eyes, but she does not seem the same woman. There's a faraway look in her eyes, and her voice is possessed of a sad, dreamy quality. The stillness is broken by Van Helsing's voice speaking in a low, level tone. Where are you? I do not know. Her answer comes in a neutral way, as though she is interpreting something only she can see and hear. It is all strange to me. What can you see? Van Helsing asks. I can see nothing. It is all dark. What do you hear? You detect the strain in the professor's patient voice. The lapping of water. It is gurgling by and little waves leap. I can hear them on the outside. Then you are on a ship. Yes. What else do you hear? The sound of men stamping overhead as they run about. There is the creaking of a chain and the loud tinkle as the check of the capstan falls into the ratchet. What are you doing? I am still. Oh, so still. It is like death. Her voice fades away into a deep breath as of one sleeping, and her eyes close again. Van Helsing places his hands on Mina's shoulders and lays her head down softly on her pillow. She lies like a sleeping child for a few moments, and then, with a long sigh, awakens again and stares in wonder to see you all watching her. Have I been talking in my sleep? She asks, as she stifles a yawn. Quite a long passage. That's quite a good one. I like that one. There is not a moment to lose, says the Professor urgently, for it may not yet be too late to thwart the enemy's plans. That ship, wherever it was weighing anchor whilst Madam Mina spoke. There are a great many ships weighing anchor at the moment in your so great port of London. Which of them is it that we seek? We can now know what was in the Count's mind when he fled the house in Piccadilly. He meant to escape. He saw that with but one earth box left and a pack of men following like dogs after a fox, this London was no place for him, and so he has taken his last box of earth on board a ship. He thinks to escape, but we will follow him. The old fox is wily, but so too am I. But why do we need to seek him further? Arthur asks, when he's already gone away from us. At this, the Professor looks gravely at Arthur. Because he can live for centuries, whereas Madame Mina is but a mortal woman. Time is now to be dreaded since he put that mark upon her throat. Now more than ever we must hunt him down, even if we have to follow him to the jaws of hell. Yes, Slam. I'd imagine it would be. Okay, we have another choice to change character if we wish. We have a choice of playing as Mr. Harker, Mrs. Harker, or Dr. John Seward. Completely up to you. Mr., Mrs., or Doctor? I will say Seward is in the best condition by a long, long way. Oh, Jonathan Harker. Right, okay. So it's, 5 straight away for Jonathan Harker. Okay, so 1 vote for Seward. Well, 5-1 at the moment. It might end up a tie if everyone now votes Seward, but then it will go back to the tiebreaker, which is who got 5 first. Seward has no pennies mightier left. Exactly. Okay, right. We're going back to be Harker. Let's just not have any terror tests. No terror tests. No terror tests. Okay. Okay, it is a journal entry, which means we recover hit points. So Harker is now at maximum endurance. He has 1 penny's mightier left, but he is currently terrified. He does have a flask of plum brandy. Doesn't affect your terror score, it's just health. Professor Jonathan Harker's journal, 4th of October. Professor Van Helsing instructed me to stay with my dear Mina, while the rest of them set off for the port of London. Your wife has brightened up considerably, and the certainty that the Count is out of the country has given her great comfort, and such comfort is strength to her. For your own part, now that you are no longer face to face with the horror the Count embodies, it almost seems impossible to believe that the threat he once posed was real. Even your own terrible experiences in Castle Dracula seem like a long-forgotten dream. Deduct a point from our terror score. Oh, it's down to 20. Then your eye falls upon the red scar that now blemishes your poor darling's white skin. Alas, how can you disbelieve when confronted with such evidence? While the imprint of the holy wafer remains on a forehead, there can be no disbelief. But nonetheless, the pain and the fear are a guiding purpose manifest throughout, which is in itself comforting. The following evening, when the others have returned to the asylum, a meeting of the vampire hunters is convened once again in Dr. Seward's private study. A lot of long reading passages now, by the looks of things. Looks like we're moving into another sort of chapter of the book, I think. Professor Van Helsing begins by recounting what he discovered when he visited the port of London. They're even now on board the Tsarina Catherine and sailing for the Black Sea and the Bulgarian port of Varna. And so, my dear Madam Mina, it is that we have to rest for a time, for our enemy is on the sea, with a fog at his command, on his way to the mouth of the Danube, he explains. To sail a ship takes time, and when we set off we will travel by land, thereby making much quicker progress. Indeed, we shall reach his destination before him. That last box of earth we seek is to be landed in Varna and given to an agent, one Ristix, who will be there to present his credentials, and so our merchant friend will have done his part. I ask again, Professor, says Arthur, when Van Helsing is done speaking, weariness etched into his face. Is it really necessary we pursue the Count now that he has departed English shores? Yes, it is necessary, the Professor answers, with growing passion. For Madame Mina's sake, and for the sake of humanity, this monster has done much harm already. He has infected Madame Mina with his vampiric curse, Even if he does no more direct injury, having lived out her allotted lifespan, death, when it comes, will make her a vampire, just like poor Miss Lucy. We cannot allow this to come to pass. Only Dracula's death will free Madame Mina from this fate and redeem her immortal soul. But will not the Count take his rebuff wisely? Asks Quincy Morris. Since he has been driven from England, will he not avoid it as a tiger does the village from which he has been hunted? Your man-eater, as they call the tiger in India, once it has tasted human blood, it cares for no other prey. We hunt a man-eater too, and he is not one to retire and stay far off. In his living life, he travelled beyond the Turkish frontier and attacked his enemy on his own ground. He was beaten back, but returned again and again and again. Look at his persistence and endurance. Who knows how long ago he conceived the idea of coming to London? But having set his mind to it, he deliberately set himself down to prepare for the task. He studied new tongues, taught himself modern social etiquette, along with politics, law, finance, the sciences, the habits and the customs of a new land and a new people, who have come to be since his blood still pumped hot and red in his veins. What he has seen here in England will only have whet his appetite and deepened his desire. He has achieved all that he has achieved to this point from a ruined tomb in a forgotten land. Imagine what more he could do now that he better understands what awaits him here, at the heart of the British Empire. He that can smile at death, who can flourish in the midst of diseases that kill off whole peoples. But we have pledged to set the world free. Our toil must be in silence, and our efforts all in secret. For in this enlightened age, where men believe not what they see, not even what they see, the doubting of wise men would be his greatest strength. It would be at once his sheath and his armor, and his weapons to destroy us, his enemies, who are willing to imperil even our own souls for the safety of one we love, for the good of mankind, and for the honor and the glory of God. And still we move to another chapter. Hopefully there'll be a decision at the end of this one. And it won't be quite as long as that one. Oh, it's shorter, but there is no decision at the end of it. After a general discussion, there's a skull at the top of it. The skull is... Okay. There's a skull at the top, which means I don't read this one. I add 30 to it and read that number instead. Oh. Oh, right. Great. Oh, no, we're not playing as Seward. Oh, no, we're playing as Harker. That was me making a mistake. Now we're playing as Harker. It's when we have a cross at the top. Shift by 10. After a general discussion, the 6 of you determine that your next course of action will not definitely be settled upon until you have all slept on the matter and spent some time considering the consequences of whatever actions may be taken. You agree to meet again tomorrow at breakfast, and after making your conclusions known to one another, only then shall you settle upon the appropriate path. Turn to 185. There's a bat at the top of this one. If there is a bat at the top, right. You shift if you're Mina. Right, okay. When the vampire hunters meet again, it is without Mina. She passes on her apologies, saying that she thought it better that the rest of you should be free to discuss your movements without being embarrassed by her presence. Considering those discussions will inevitably have to include the matter of what should be done with her, should she succumb to the vampire's curse. And so, with one member down, you discuss your plan of campaign, with Van Helsing putting the facts before you. The Tsarina Catherine left the Thames yesterday morning. It will take her at least 3 weeks to reach Varna, but we can travel overland to the same place in just 3 days, even allowing for 2 days less for the ship's voyage, owing to the way in which the Count can influence the weather. And if we allow another whole day and night for any delays that may threaten to impede our journey, a margin of nearly 2 weeks. And so, in order to be quite safe, we must leave here on the 17th at the latest. That way we shall reach Varna a day before the ship arrives, which will give us time to make such preparations as may be necessary. Of course, we shall all go armed against evil things, both physical and spiritual. I understand that the Count comes from Wolf Country, says Quincy, and it may be that he shall get there before us. I propose that we add Winchesters to our armament. I have a kind of belief in a Winchester when there is any trouble of that sort around. Good, says Van Helsing. Winchesters it is. In the meantime, we can do nothing here, and I suspect Varna is unfamiliar to all of us. So let us get there sooner, as it is long to wait here, it is as long to wait here as there. Tonight and tomorrow we can get ready, and then, if all be well, we will be ready to set out on our journey. We now have a Winchester rifle. Yes, it does keep adding extra little complexities, as well as extra reading. Right. 12th of October, London. Your party of 6 vampire hunters leaves Charing Cross on the morning of the 12th of October and arrives in Paris the same night. There you take the places that have been secured for you aboard the Orient Express. Does it look like that one? I hope not. If the blood score is 8 or higher, turn to 306. Yes, it is. Okay, we've got on board the Orient Express and the blood score is high. Two days after leaving London, you are relaxing in your compartment alone aboard the Orient Express as the train passes through a snowstorm in the Austrian Tyrol, when there comes a knock from the door. From the other side comes a muffled, "Cabin service." Cabin service? You didn't order any cabin service. As you are rising to see who it is, the door is forced from the outside and a young man bursts in. He's wearing an ill-fitting porter's uniform and wielding a large silver steak knife. Before you die, I want to know who it is that kills you. I want to know who it is that kills you in the name of Lord Dracula. Sorry, I'll read that again. Before you die, I want you to know who it is that kills you in the name of Lord Dracula, he snarls. Who are you? You gasp in bewilderment. I am Johnny Alucard, he declares, and throws himself at you. Right, we have an option to use. The pen is mightier. Pen is mightier, yes or no? Up to you fellas in chat. We've been attacked on the train by a man with a knife. That wasn't in the book. Alucard, yes, it's Dracula backwards. Well spotted. Well spotted. Whenever I see people write anime, the first word that comes to mind is enema. It just looks so similar. It's also the name of a very good Tool song. Anybody live in Los Angeles? Heard that Tool song, Enema? Okay, you're all wanting to fight. We're not using the pennies mightier. You barely have time to seize a weapon of your own before the would-be murderer and disciple of Dracula is on top of you. Okay. He's wounded us in the first round. He's quite tough, actually. He is quite tough. Thankfully, we've got a lot of stamina. He's wounded us in the second round. Not good so far. It does say if we're still alive after 4 combat rounds, which we will be. We will be. He's wounded us again. Oh, we've got him. Right. Okay, good. But we're still alive after 4 rounds. 3, 6, 2. There are worse bands to have songs of stuck in your head. There are worse songs than Enema by Tool. Definitely. There is a commotion in the gangway outside your cabin and a shout of, "Stop, villain!" Looking about him in agitation, Alucard suddenly breaks off from the battle and flees towards the rear of the train. A moment later, Arthur Holmwood and Quincy Morris appear at your door. "Are you all right?" Arthur asks. But before you can reply, there is a sudden squeal of metal on metal as the train's wheels seize and the Orient Express comes to an abrupt stop, which sends the 3 of you tumbling to the floor. Someone, no doubt your would-be murderer, must have pulled the emergency brake. Do we chase after him? Yes or no? Okay, so do we chase after our assailant? Yes or no? Up to you, fellas. Yeah, pretty much unanimous. 5 instant votes, all saying chase. Schism. Excellent baseline into the introduction. Excellent. Right. Yeah, we'll head after him. I know the pieces fit as I watch them all away. You are the first one back on your feet and make your way after Alucard at a run. Coming to the end of your carriage, you find a door to the outside world open and the blizzard blowing in. Steeling yourself against the cold, you head outside, followed by your fellow vampire hunters. To your right rises the icy face of the mountain pass. To your left, on the other side of the track, a sheer cliff drops away to the snow-buried rocks below. Ahead of you, you can just make out a black shape heading back along the train into the whirling snow. And you set off after it. Suddenly shots are fired and the echo of them ricocheting from the wall of black rock and grey ice. And then you hear the dread rumble of an imminent avalanche. Giving up on your pursuit of Alucard, you turn and race back towards the train, your boots crunching on the snow and ballast lying between the tracks. Your boots crunching on the snow and ballast lying between the tracks. Concentrate, John, when you read. Take an endurance test. Yeah. 18 or lower. And that is 16 on 46. I rolled quite high. Pass the test. 482. Ooh, spooky pictures. I've got that itchy nose again. Excuse me. Right. You make it back to the train and your companions pull you back on board just as the avalanche hits. The Orient Express rocks under the impact, but thankfully its wheels remain on the tracks. It takes a day for the driver, firemen, and other staff to dig the train out, but eventually you're on your way again, which is more than you can say for Johnny Alucard, who now lies buried under the snow on the rocks 1,000 feet below. Turn to 257. He's dead. 15th of October, Varna. You travel day and night, arriving in Varna at about 5 o'clock in the evening. Arthur goes to the consulate to see if any telegram has arrived for him, having arranged with Lloyd's to be sent a daily wire stating if the Tsarina Catherine has been reported, while the rest of you make your way to the hotel Odysseus. In a drawer in a bedside table in your room, you find a well-thumbed English copy of the Bible. Okay. Yeah, if you want to take it, add it to your character sheet. I think we probably should, as we're up against a devilish creature. Arthur eventually returns with 4 telegrams, but Dracula's ship has not been reported to Lloyd's from anywhere. You are evidently in good time and will be ready and waiting for the Count when he arrives. Yeah, I assumed you'd all want to take it. I mean, it's fairly obvious given the nature of what we face and what works against him. "17th of October, Varna. Arthur has been busy in the short time your party has been in Bulgaria, and has used his money and influence to secure papers guaranteeing you the right to board the Tsarina Catherine when it docks and open its dread cargo of Transylvanian earth. There and then, in the bowels of the ship between you will cut off Dracula's head and drive a stake through his heart. Professor Van Helsing believes the Count's body will simply crumble to dust. You feel that the end is close, and that belief fills you with courage. Deduct a point from your terror score. Marvelous. We're down to only 19. Van Helsing needs it against the vampiresses. Okay. So it's not going to be as easy as the book's making out. Yeah, right. Over a week, 26th of October, Varna. Over a week of waiting and still no tidings of the Tsarina Catherine, but we do get to heal. But she ought to be here by now. That she is still at sea is apparent, but where? The next day there is still no news, and Van Helsing makes it plain that he's anxious the Count is somehow escaping the trap you have laid for him. And then on the 28th of October, news at last. Telegram, Rufus Smith, London to Lord Godalming. Care HBM Vice Consul, Varna, 28th of October. Tsarina Catherine reported entering Galatz at 1 o'clock today. The revelation that Count Dracula has evaded you is a shock to everyone. Van Helsing raises his fist to the sky as if it remonstrance with the Almighty himself. Arthur grows very pale, and Quincy Morris tightens his belt, which you know means to action. It must have been while Mrs. Harker was under hypnosis, the professor says at last. Just as our own dear Mina can move her mind to where he is, the Count must have sent his spirit to read her thoughts, and in doing so learned that we were already here, waiting for him. Now he's making every effort to escape us. Galatz is more than 200 miles away in Romania. The next train for Galatz leaves at 6:30 tomorrow morning, so your party spends the rest of the day preparing for the journey. Arthur arranges the train tickets. Papers are obtained so that you might board the Tsarina Catherine at Galatz, and Quincy Morris visits the vice consul to ensure that all will run smoothly with his counterpart in Romania. And so, on the morning of the 29th of October, you board the train for Galatz. The train from Varna to Galatz is nothing like the Orient Express. You are forced to make do with compartments interspersed throughout the train and are unable to purloin any that are adjacent to one another. You are returning to your compartment from the dining car after supper when you see a curious hunchbacked fellow dressed in rough clothes and bald but for a few straggly wisps of hair exit a berth at the far end of the carriage and head in the direction of the luggage van. There's something about his surreptitious manner that arouses your suspicions. Do we want to find out where this man's going, or are we going to leave him alone and retire for the night? So follow the odd-looking man or ignore him. Those are your choices, chat. Follow the man. Three votes so far. Any more votes coming in? Nobody else want to vote? Okay. 798. Taking care not to draw attention to yourself, you set off after the strange figure, the train rocking along the track as it crosses the Bulgarian-Romanian border. By the time you reach the luggage van, the hunchback seems to have disappeared, but your attention is drawn to a number of large cases and packing crates. To one has been tied a label, upon which has been written, in German, scientific equipment, while another bears the name Frankenstein. Can I help you, mein Herr? Comes a voice from behind you, making you start and setting your heart racing. It is the hunchback. No, you bluster. I was merely looking for... The dining car, perhaps, suggests the other. Yes, the dining car. It is that way, he says, pointing back along the luggage van. Thank you say, and start to move towards the exit. Good evening. Gute Nacht, mein Herr, the hunchback replies. You hurry back to your compartment in a state of high agitation and do not leave it again until morning. Tick off the code word Orvosh. Okay. Orvosh. And turn to 881. 30th of October, Galatz. You arrive at Galatz as the sun is rising on the morning of 30th of October, on fire with anxiety and eagerness. By 9 o'clock, your party is boarding the Tsarina Catherine, which lies at anchor in the river harbour, in order to interview its captain, a Scotsman named Donaldson. Captain Donaldson willingly shares the details of his voyage. I never had so favourable a run in all my life, he begins. Man, but it made us afeard, for we thought that we should have to pay for it with some rare piece of ill luck. It's no right to run from London to the Black Sea with the wind behind ye, as though the devil himself were blowing on your sail, And all the time we could not see it. Is he Scottish? Yes. And all the time we could no see a thing. A fog fell on us and travelled with us till we came to the Dardanelles. I can't do a Scottish accent, so don't even think about it. When we got past the Bosporus, the men began to grumble. Some of them, Romanians, came and asked me to heave overboard a big box that had been put on board by a queer-looking old man just before we left London. I had seen them looking at the fellow and put out their 2 fingers when they saw him to guard against the evil eye. Man, but the superstitions of foreigners are perfectly ridiculous. I sent them about their business pretty quick. We had a fair way in deep water all the time after that, even though the unnatural fog descended again, and 2 days ago, when the morning sun came through the mist, we found ourselves just in the river opposite Galast. An hour before sunup, a man came aboard with an order written to him from England to receive a box marked for one Count Dracula. He had his papers, and I was glad to be rid of the damn thing, for I was beginning to feel uneasy about it myself. What was the name of the man who took it? Asked Van Helsing. At that, Captain Donaldson steps down to his cabin and produces a receipt signed Emanuel Hiedelsheim and bearing the address Bergenstrasse 16. You find Hiedelsheim in his office at number 16 Bergenstrasse. He is reluctant to share any information with you to begin with, but as soon as Arthur opens his wallet and after a little bargaining, he finally tells you what he knows. He had received a letter from Monsieur de Vie of London, telling him to receive, if possible, before sunrise, so as to avoid customs, a box which would arrive at Galatz on board the Tsarina Catherine. This was to pass into the hands of one Petrov Skinsky, an individual who dealt with the Slovaks who traded down the river to the port. He was paid for his work by an English banknote, which had been duly cashed for gold at the Danube International Bank. When Skinsky had come to him, he took him to the ship and passed the box into the charge of the other man. You have no choice other than to set about searching for this Skinsky, but it is dusk before you reveal yourselves at the door to his lodgings. One of his neighbours reveals that he left 2 days ago, but no one knows where he was travelling to. It seems you are at a standstill again. But whilst you are discussing what you should do next, a boy comes running and gasping for breath. He tells you that Skinsky has been found inside the graveyard of St. Peter's Church. And so it is, as dusk falls and a full moon rises, providing you with enough light to see by, your party enters the churchyard in search of answers. There, shouts Arthur, pointing at a nearby tomb. You can see the amorphous black shadow of something lying atop the cold stone. Just as you make the move towards the tomb and examine it further, a mournful howl cuts through the deepening darkness that makes everyone start. Sounds like a wolf, Quincy says, his hand automatically going to the pistol holstered at his waist. Then we must be quick about our business and tarry no longer than is necessary, says Van Helsing. I don't like the idea of being caught unawares by a wolf, drawls the Texan. I'd rather be the hunter than the hunted. Anyone else want to come with me? As your party begins to split into 2 distinct groups, who do you want to follow further into the graveyard? We have a choice. Do we go wolf hunting with Quincy Morris, or do we go with Van Helsing to examine the body on the tomb? Up to you, chaps. Van Helsing or Quincy Morris? I'm going to go on for another 20 minutes on this stream. I'm going to stop at the 2-hour mark. Only Mage wants to go wolf hunting. The other 4 want to go, for the 5 want to go with Van Helsing. So Van Helsing already has a majority. 912. Mage, you are outvoted. And I can understand why, because there have been a few comments tonight which have made me think that perhaps Demilich is there rather than the kindly Mage. As you approach the tomb, it quickly becomes apparent that it is the corpse of the man you've been searching for. But what can have happened to him? The professor examines the body as best he can by the light of the moon. His throat has been torn out, he says gravely. It looks like the work of some wild beast. At that moment, the howling starts up again, only this time it sounds like a whole pack of wolves. There is nothing more we can learn from Herr Skinsky, Van Helsing says, his eyes searching the encroaching gloom for Quincy Morris. Do we want to go looking for Quincy, or do we want to put forward the idea of leaving the graveyard as quickly as possible? So go looking for Quincy, or suggest that we leave the graveyard. So we have 2 hunting for Quincy, 1 for leaving the graveyard. Is he dead already? Does he die in the book or the film? I don't know. So we have 2. We're at 2-2 at the moment. Spoilers. Well, we need some more votes, so we're at 2-2. Leave the graveyard or go and look for Quincy. Anybody else voting? Nobody else voting? We're down to 8 people. 4 people in chat haven't voted. 4 of you. No, I'm going to have to roll a d6 if nobody votes. Mage, you haven't voted. You've commented, but you haven't voted. You're stirring the pot, but you're not committing yourself. I think, seeing as you've just reached the 1,000, you should have the deciding vote. Congratulations, by the way. I think everybody should congratulate the mage on reaching the 1,000. Mage says Quincy. There we go. Right, okay, that's the casting vote. If anyone happens to be here who has not subscribed to Mage's Musings, you should do. We're going looking for Quincy. It doesn't look like he's dead. It says here, it's a bit disjointed. Quincy sets off towards the back wall of the graveyard, beyond which lies a dark stand of trees, certain that this is the direction from which the sound of wolves came. Arthur also joined your small hunting party as you hurry to keep up with the Texan. So we've kept up with him. We found him. Do you remember, Art, when we had the pack of wolves after us at Tobolsk? Quincy says, his Winchester already in his hand. What wouldn't we have given for a repeater apiece then? Before Arthur can answer, another mournful howl cuts through the night, bringing everyone to an abrupt halt. Take an ESP test. Pass an ESP test. Excellent. 998. 998. Rolled 6, our ASP is 7. You suddenly receive a flash of insight and glimpse something in your mind's eye, tall and thickly furred, its claw-like hands and distended jaws red with gore. In the next instant, the horrible vision has gone. Add 1 to our terror score. Joy. Wait, you hiss, holding up your hand. Something isn't right. We're hunting wolves in a Romanian graveyard while trying to track down a goddamn vampire, counters Quincy Morris. Nothing about this entire endeavour is right. If you wish to insist that your hunting party returns to the professor and that you will all leave this place as quickly as possible, tell me. But if you want to shut up, tell me. So, do we insist that we give up and go back to the professor, or do we just shut up and go along with Quincy? Up to you, fellas. We are down to 6 people in chat because I'm guessing it is that time of night when those of you across the Atlantic are eating. It's maybe 20, 5:15, 6, 6-ish. Okay, so 2 insisting that we go back to the professor, 1 wanting to stay and hunt with Quincy at the moment. 2-2 we're at 2-2. Assuming the professor's going to be okay. So 2-2 at the moment. 3-2 now. With only 6 in chat. Iman's connection dropped. Right. Okay, go hunting. Go hunting, we will go. So we shut up and get on with it. 760. Quincy Morris's wolf hunters set off again towards the edge of the graveyard. Suddenly, you hear a sharp crack of a twig breaking underfoot. The Texan freezes, raising an arm, signaling for the rest of you to do the same. They're here, he says in a dry whisper. You peer into the gloom ahead of you, but you can see nothing. As you stand there, your eyes straining for any sound, you become aware of a panting breath coming from the left. Slowly turning your head, you see them, several hunched shapes, perched on top of gravestones or crouched, half hidden behind large stone crypts. From their moon-silhouetted postures, they look like they walk on 2 legs like men, but their bodies are covered with thick grey fur, and they have sharply pointed ears like those of a German shepherd, and their eyes shine redly in the reflected light of the moon. Add 1 point to our terror score and take a terror test. Okay. To succeed on this terror test, I've got to roll 21 or higher on 4d6. Not far off. 17. Okay, fail the test, turned 108. Utterly terrified, you turn and run back the way you've just come, towards the entrance to the graveyard. Hearing a savage snarl behind you spurs you on, as you then become aware of something pursuing you. In the desperate hope of somehow evading the unnatural beast, you dodge and weave between the graves. Take an agility test. Oh, just got it exactly. Agility's 9, rolled 9. 171. We passed the test. Just. As if warned by some sixth sense, you know the thing is about to leap. And heart pounding, throw yourself sideways, landing on your side among the thick grass between the overgrown tombstones. 211. 10 minutes of the stream to go. Warily, you pick yourself up off the ground, your breath coming in ragged gasps, and face the monster that has cornered you. It is some nightmarish amalgam of man and beast, neither one thing nor the other, but something altogether much worse. The creature is crouched, ready to pounce, its strength wound up in its muscular body, like the potential energy trapped within a watch spring. Lips curl back from teeth that have become part of a blunt snout, while strings of thick saliva dangle from its glistening teeth. Right. Do we call on the pen is mightier now? We have one use left as Jonathan Harker. Pen is mightier, yes or no? We are cornered by a werewolf. Up to you, fellas. 4 yeses straight away. That means it's a yes. Instant response. Stab the werewolf with that silver pen. Indeed. Turn to 261. There is a sharp crack of a pistol discharging nearby, and the wolfman is knocked off its feet by a bullet from the Texan's gun. As a bullet from the Texan's gun hits it right between its yellow predator's eyes. Hoping he's got a silver bullet in there. If not, we're in trouble. You suddenly find yourself surrounded by the rest of your party as lupine shapes slink from between the overgrown gravestones. 335. Werewolves, comes Van Helsing's voice from behind you, and for the first time you realize that all 6 of you have been reunited in tracking down the wolves. Only now the hunters have become the hunted. The pack circles your small band of brave souls. They have you entirely surrounded, and then they attack. The 6 of you form a rough circle. 9 werewolves attack in total. Roll 1d6 for each werewolf and check below to see not only who each one attacks, but how many of the monsters that individual is able to deal with by themselves. Any werewolves that are dealt with by any of your companions are crossed off the list. You'll have to deal with any that attack you directly. However, for every use the pen is mighty, a special ability you cross off, you can remove 1 werewolf. Okay, right, okay. So, roll 1 for each. Okay, so it's 9 werewolves. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Three. Okay. So Arthur has dealt with 2 of them. Good. 3 again. That's Arthur dealing with another 2 of them. 6. Mina deals with 1. Good girl. 5. That's me. Oh. Throwing a d6 on the floor. 1. Van Helsing deals with 2. And 2. Seward deals with 1. Okay, we've only been attacked by 1 of them. That's rather lucky. Oh no, I did that wrong. I do apologize. I do apologize. I did that completely wrong. Whoops. Okay. Right. Okay. I do apologize. Got the mechanics cocked up. I'm going to roll all the dice together. 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So number 1 is going for Seward. Number 2 is going for Arthur. Number 3 is going for Quincy. Number 4, sorry, is going for me. Professor, Seward, Quincy, Mina, and Quincy. Okay, right. Now it says here, the professor can deal with 1, sorry, with 2. So that's 1 gone. That's that. Seward can deal with 1, but he had to deal with 2, so we have to deal with the extra 1. That's how it works. Arthur can deal with 2, but he only had to deal with 1. Quincy can deal with 3, and he got 3, which is lucky. Mina can deal with 1, so we have to fight 2 werewolves. Okay. Right. We've got to fight 1, but then there's going to be 1 left afterwards. Right. Okay. So we fight a werewolf. It bites us. That's not good. We hit it. It bites us. It bites us. It bites us. We should have chosen the blue dice. We really should. Oh, we've hit it. Good. We tie. It bites us. This isn't going very well. Sorry, chat. Good. We hit it. Come on, 1 more. 8, 6. Yes, got it. If there's at least 1 still to be dealt with, turn to 4, 2, 6. Yes, there is. Because me and Seward couldn't deal with. Okay, Seward can only deal with 1. So right, 4, 2, 6. There is 1 remaining. Are you carrying a silver crucifix? I've got a golden crucifix. Doesn't say I've got a silver one. Has it messed up? Is it meant to say golden crucifix? Decide, chat. Has it messed up? Should it be the fact that I've got a golden crucifix, which I've still got, or has it messed up? And was it a silver one earlier in the book, or was it a golden one? Because I've written down here golden crucifix. It might be silver. I've got a crucifix. Let you decide, chat. Let you decide. This will be the last decision tonight. So, yeah, I've got written down here crucifix, but I've written golden crucifix. Unless I wrote it down wrongly. That might just be me. Right. Chat decide. Do we say yes, this golden crucifix is just me being stupid and writing down golden crucifix when I should have written down silver? You swear it was silver. Okay, good. So next time we will start at 448. Okay. As this book goes into session 6. It's a reminder of quite how thick it is. It feels like I've read most of it. But wasn't a particularly busy one tonight, but it doesn't matter. The silver crucifix is worth its weight in gold. Yeah, it is. So not a particularly busy one in terms of attendees tonight, but everyone's joined in. There, the book is definitely moving quicker now. It started nicely as Harker, and then it sort of got a bit stodgy in the middle, but I think it's going really well now. Quite enjoying it now. So good. Right, I'm going to go to work tomorrow, so I'm going to. That's why I'm not staying up too late tonight. First proper week back, and it's taken a bit of getting used to. That week off didn't feel like a week off. It was too stressful. So, so we should be at the last bit. Okay. Yep. I'll see you if you're playing in the OSE game tomorrow. It's Gingerbeard's DMing. It starts at 2 p.m. UK time in the Discord channel. So hopefully see some of you guys tomorrow. Anyway, and I'll be playing MERP afterwards as well. So anyone who I haven't seen anyone in here tonight who's playing in the MERP game. So anyway, games tomorrow. For me now, tomorrow's evening session is an ongoing Middle Earth game. It's not OSE, so it'll be next week. Will be me running OSE again, not tomorrow. The Middle Earth game's a little more complicated and convoluted, and it was quite getting to quite a difficult point to bring somebody in as well. So so next week the invite is open for next week, but the invite's open for tomorrow afternoon as well for the OSE drop-in game. Just the MERP one isn't so much of a drop-in game. It requires a bit more preparation. Anyhow, for those who are playing tomorrow, I say everyone's welcome to join in the OSE game. That is a drop-in game. Iman, if you're free tomorrow afternoon, you're more than welcome to come into that one, and anybody else who's in chat. And if anyone wants to join the MERP game, you'll need to spend about an hour with me beforehand to make the character, because it can take a little bit of a while. But we have got Gene, yes, you aren't you? You've joined the MERP game, haven't you? So yeah, more than welcome to join again tomorrow. Anyway, I'm going to shoot off, so I shall see you all again soon. See ya. Ta-da.